let's get that recorder starting, because I almost forgot. I always forget when it comes to actually streaming. I'm pretty good at making sure I stay recording when I do like a Breath of Fire thing or anything for my YouTube stuff, but when I actually start streaming, I just completely forget that I need to record my stuff as well. So yeah, it's good. It's fun. Twitch is fun. You know, we gotta love the ins and outs, the outs and ins, the belly buttons that Twitch gives us sometimes. They sometimes give us cool stuff like the highlight thing, and then they sometimes fuck over the currency for the partner system. But yeah, this is Buddin Some Boopin. Last time I did this was what? 5 months ago? 6 months maybe? It was long. It was a long time ago. And I decided I can't stream. Or I can't stream games anyway. I can't do that and also do my YouTube stuff at the same time. I kind of came to that realization as I was going along in that process. I love recording commentary for Twitch, and I love doing it for YouTube as well. However, oh my god, is that even coming through the Google Chrome stuff? No, it's not. You can't hear the alert because I've set it up in a weird way, but welcome in, Anomalina, and I have realised that I have already fucked up because I haven't introduced the new way I'm going to be doing this. So, you know, each of our streamers on the VOD have a different way of presenting themselves. Rob and Author V have their webcams, more so Rob has it more than Author V does, and also Logicoma has his VTuber. Now, I don't have the time to set up VTuber stuff. I would like to do that eventually, but not now. I just don't have the time for it. Instead, I have set up something really small, but budget-wise. Why is it playing the raid music again? You can't hear that, but I can. Why is it playing the raid music twice? Audio spaghetti. Anyway, yeah, welcome in, Anomalina and The Void. Welcome to a new part of Buddin Some Boopin, which is technically, how about a PNG tuber? Well, let me introduce you to the new VTuber overlay. Hello! It's me in a pot! I might have set it up to be too sensitive, but oh, it's inside of me. Welcome in, Author V, as well. Hope you're doing good. Yeah, so yeah, VTuber wise, I decided to go down the route of the PNG tuber, like Nom literally just said. I thought, hey, here I am. I have stolen Pastry's model for me. I apologise. I'm not good at art. I literally just stole it and I edited it slightly, so you've got me here. And you've got me thinking. I didn't realise I wasn't following you. Wow. Thank you for following the flower garden. In fact, speaking of, if you want to go and follow Anomalina, please work. Please work. There we go. Check out and maybe give a follow to Anomalina at http. I don't know why I went out for the entire website, but yeah, go check her out. She is great. If you need to go get food, and if anyone from Nom's stream does need to get food, I know I incited that in a lot of you join that stream. Please go get food. If you can't stick around, don't stick around. Go and get some snacks. I am going to continue, obviously, since I just started, but yes, thank you, Nom, for the raid. I hope you're doing great today. I hope Furby or V, you are both doing good as well. But yeah, I decided, why don't I do a VTuber thing? Not only for streams, though. I won't be doing it on my YouTube stuff. And I also think it works quite well for a podcast because you've got someone to interact with on screen, even if it's just 2 images, a still one and my kitchen is 3 steps away. I will keep listening. That is true. Wish I had a... Actually, would I... Because I also live kind of like 5 steps away from my kitchen. But I don't know. We have got kind of a tight schedule with this as well, actually. Because I've got a lot to get through. I have got even more to get through after I found that the live letter for Final Fantasy XIV was today. So I will be doing that as well at the end. So I guess to get this started, I'll say, what is Buddin Some Boopin now? Well, let me introduce you over to the new format for Buddin Some Boopin. There we go. In fact, helpful flower bottles just put it in there. Let me read that out. Buddin Some Boopin is my topic-based commentary on current video game news, as well as my own. It'll also show my chronological journey through the DAO software Reaper, where I slowly learn music. Interested in previous streams? Check out this playlist on... Helpful Flower, but what the fuck? You gotta be kidding me. Oh, you fucked me over, Helpful Flowerbot. I can't believe you've done this. Can't believe you've done this. Well, there you have it. Also, tell me if the music is too quiet, because I have got Wayne Wave on in the background, but I don't know if you can hear it very well. I can turn it up a little bit if needs be. Check out this link on this site. It's nothing. It's the void. Well, go check out... In fact, here you go. Did that work? Is it links? What is this command? Oh, wow. It is quite quiet. Okay. Audio spaghetti. Before we get started, why don't I treat you to some niceness? I don't know how loud that was. The problem is I can't hear how it actually sounds because I don't know if the voice mod actually worked there. But okay, Nom has reacted to it, so she can actually hear it. The beppers. I don't have cans like Mel does, I have bottles, so you just hear the beppers being poured out. But anyway, yes. Buddin Some Boopin is my... I don't want to call it podcast because I feel like, as I know the VOD are doing their own podcast and I don't want to be like, I'm going to start my own podcast because that's the current trend of stuff. No, I wanted to do this because it generally is a fantastic alternative to me streaming. I can't do games on streams. I have problems with... Internet's going to keep cutting out while I'm doing it and it's just going to make an awful experience for people who are watching. So I thought, talk show, I don't need to play a game during that, and I can also just talk to chat, and it wouldn't be a problem if the audio cuts out because it's just a podcast. It's me talking to chat. And I thought, okay, why don't we convert Buddin Some Boopin, my usual music maker streams, into that format, because I like the term, I like the phrase Buddin Some Boopin. So I thought, fuck it, why don't we turn that into the actual podcast? So we're here. And I set it up I've been thinking about it the last month, but I started setting it up this week. And I decided, okay, let's do our first stream this Friday and see where we can go from there. Timetable-wise, that's going to be a little difficult. I have set something up, but the more I kept thinking about it, the more I realised I'm not going to be able to stick to this. But let me show you what it is anyway. What's this music? I don't know how loud it is, I'm going to turn it down. Oh, it's Professor Layton, apparently. Changing his format. Okay, well, here's a timetable. Buddin Some Boopin will be a bi-weekly thing. Every other day during the week, outside of the weekend. Weekend, I'll tend to be doing my recordings, which is, I'm more free to be able to do that. So yeah, it's broken up into 3 parts. I don't know if I'll be sticking to this, but I like the colours, so I thought, fuck it, I'll just do 3 different things. Dramatic as fuck, yeah. Dramatic. Professor Layton games. But yeah, so Monday, Buddin Some Boopin games, 4 PM. So as you can see, I'm sneaking these into specific sections. Wednesday might be earlier because I know a lot of Coma streams on that, and I can do earlier. I started to phase, fuck it, so you're off to a good start. I mean, I want to be able to actually catch one of your... I forgot your music sessions because I honestly, I just haven't had a chance to. So, yeah, go check out Orphathy, go check out his stuff. Go check out everyone. You know, just be nice people and check out everyone. I don't know. But yeah, Monday, 4 PM, Buddin Some Boopin games. This is where I'll be talking about games and maybe dipping my toes into an HIO game every so often. Won't happen that often. This stream is more so talking about my recording process, talking about what games I'm currently playing, like Breath of Fire, Final Fantasy, that sort of thing. Buddin Some Boopin music. Wednesday is going to be what I did before with Reaper. I'm going to be doing DAW, digital audio. What's the W stand for? Workplace, I think is what it stands for. I'm going to be doing that on the Wednesday, which is going to be me going back to doing some music, trying to learn how to use Reaper because I'm not great at it, but I want to get better. I really want to get good at doing actual music engineering. I think that'd be quite a fun thing to do on stream. It's just showing the evolution of that. And then Friday, it's going to be something similar to this. Buddin Some Boopin news. This is going to be me talking about current gaming news, anything that interests me and anything that interests chat. So, obviously, I am under the awareness. Like, I am aware that I don't get many concurrent viewers. I can't even say that word. Concurrent viewers. There you go. I don't get many of those, so I'm of the mind that if anyone does have any suggestions for news topics, like weekly news, preferably I would like it to be relevant to what is currently going on. So if anyone has anything that would be cool to cover, I'll have a look at it. Obviously, I don't want to cover politics and stuff. I want to keep it kind of based around a more cozy environment, like maybe movies, TV shows. I'm currently watching some Star Wars stuff, which I will probably talk about next week, actually, because I did quite enjoy a certain show I've been watching. So that could be a topic later on. If anyone has a suggestion, I will be up for it, of course. I will be putting out a post, probably next week on community schedules, just talking about what is this music. Yeah, I will be putting out a post next week on kind of the process of how I would like to do community handling. I don't know if I will do it, but that's something I could think about in the future anyway. We are getting Estoy red bar right now. Can you fix yourself, OBS, please? I am using no internet right now. I am literally on one. I might need to switch Wi-Fi. Hold on, give me a sec. Yeah, we're currently having difficulties connecting to the station. Yeah, no shit. We'll wait until it fixes itself. I've got the, don't exit OBS, Jesus. I've currently got certain things on that should be preventing this. Hold on. Oh, we're gone green. Okay, here we go. Right. So, yeah, Friday news, just kind of anything I'm most interested in. Right, I think that's enough for the schedule. So, in summary, Monday, games. Talk about game news. Games I'm currently playing and games that are currently out. Music, my usual Reaper stuff on Wednesdays. And then Friday, I'm going to be talking about weekly news, like a live letter for Final Fantasy or an interview about a new game I'm interested in. I will also be doing a Silk Song countdown, which I will set up next week. It won't be a daily thing, but I'll basically just be like, it's been another week since we haven't heard any Silk Song news. I am slowly losing the will to live. And I am applying more clown makeup as we speak. And then, okay, that schedules. Let's talk about commands, because with this new change on Twitch, I'll also be doing new commands and stuff. I am going to change my audio software. Give me a second. There we go. Okay, fixed. Bamboozled, in fact. Right. So commands. Well, come on, OBS. I know you wanna play some music. Give me a sec. There we go. Right. So in terms of commands, I've stripped a lot of them before. They will kind of just a lot of my gaming sound effects that I used before. Gaming sound effects. But yeah, here's the commands you can currently use in the chat. So you have this commands, which opens up a command window that tells you what commands you can use. So you've got text commands, which leads to these ones, BSP, Buddin Some Boopin. That will give you access to what this actually is, giving you some info and also access to the old VODs. Community will be all the members of the VOD community, all the streamers in there. Discord will be the VOD Discord and what's currently going on there. Lurk is just if you're lurking, you can go there and hide in the flower garden if you want to. And then VOT is the VOT community streamers. In fact, speaking of VOT, I just completely like nuked the chat for Pastry, but welcome in Pastry. You can check out Pastry and all the other VOT there. I hope you're doing good, Pastry. We're kerfuffling right now, but you know it's a good kerfuffle. And then I'm in Moot World at Work. Okay, hold on. Howdy. There we go. And then sound effects we have exclamation mark bat, exclamation mark Donald, exclamation mark Goofy, exclamation mark mission, exclamation mark save, and exclamation spoiler. I don't think that you'll be able to hear this, so give me a second. I can fix that right now. OBS. Oh, seriously, OBS? I'm not about to choose yourself? Well, that's annoying. OBS, why can't you choose yourself? You're like plot twist. I actually don't work. I could have set up the actual audio hardware thing just for this one stream. Yeah, we could just do that. Hold on then. Headphones. Well, maybe I need to turn Chrome off. That's gonna be very loud for you guys. So guess what this music is. Right. So yeah, things like a new command I have, exclamation mark spoiler. This can be used in case I may have not put my spoiler alarm on. So, spoiler alarm. Why is that? When it comes to video game news, I may go into stuff that will be spoiler territory, like talking about the late parts of a video game, Final Fantasy XIV story stuff. I don't want people who haven't played that to be spoiled. So, I've got a little spoil command which will appear on screen. So if you say want to hang out around the stream, but you're worried about spoilers, I will have this above me, and it will tell you basically if what I'm talking about is spoiler. So if that's gone, then you can tune back into the stream. You can unmute it, but if it's there, you can mute it in case you're worried about spoilers. That's the system I have in place. I can't think of a better one. I think it'll work quite well considering the stuff we're going to be going into. So yeah, spoiler alert. Audio jungle, right, and that will be there in case I do that, and that's why the command is there too. If I forget I'm talking about spoiler stuff, or I'm going into a section that you may deem spoilery, do not be afraid to press that command, and that will remind me, oh shoot, I need to put the command up. So that's why it's there. It's more of an alert to me that bad stuff is happening. So I should just call it alarm, but I think spoiler works better. Anyway, that is format stuff. Now let me give it a this, because that's just talking about what Buddin Some Boopin is now currently. Let's give it a spoiler as well. Let's give it the music as well. We don't need a music for this section anyway. But yeah, Buddin Some Boopin. That is what this is currently going to be from now on. more of a podcast kind of talk show thing. I like the idea of a talk show more than a podcast because it has a lot of audio, it has a lot of visual elements to it, which I always prefer when it comes to like visual media. Now, spoiler alert, or doxing myself, in fact. I, as a researcher, a biological researcher, if you want to know what my actual job is, we tend to have to put a lot of presentations together to uh, get money for projects, or just kind of giving an idea as to people in my work field, in people in the workplace, what we're gonna do. So I always like using visual elements because that means people have more to engage with than just static image with someone talking. If you have a webcam, you don't really need to do that because you're interacting with the audience. But since I don't have a webcam, and I don't plan on doing a webcam-esque stream anytime soon, I feel like a lot of visual elements might be a good idea of going about this. It's just the way I want to do it. If I don't think it'll be a problem, I think I tend to put a lot. I want to try and put as much work into it as I can, but yeah, there you have it. There you have what Buddin Some Boopin is going to be for the foreseeable future. Yeah. I enjoyed setting up the VTuber avatar-esque thing as well. It took about 20 minutes in MS Paint, and I have basically stolen pastries do, but it's fine. It's fine. I have a little sticker as well. I got a little Buddin Some Boopin sticker on me, which is very, very cute. So, I guess that's kind of it in terms of format. I guess we can end the stream there. No. In terms of duration as well, you might be wondering how long these streams are going to be. I'm going to aim about an hour and a half to 2 hours with most of them. They're not going to be 3 hours. They tend to be going to be shorter. It depends on how much stuff I've got to talk about. I'll probably give an estimate as to how long the stream is going to be before each part. Like, say I've got a lot of video game news to talk about, I'll do a 2-hour part. If I don't have a lot, and it's like it'll be like an hour or half an hour part, I might combine that with the Friday segment, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I plan on streaming Monday, Wednesday, Friday, doing doing all that stuff. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be good. Since we don't really have a kind of a podcast-esque show in the VOT community, well, at least the end of year one. And I will keep announcing that the VOT are doing their own podcasts, not at the end of this year, but the end of next year. Gonna be busy. Yeah, it is gonna be busy. It's gonna be fun though. I have also designed this so it won't clash with people's streams. I don't want to be that person who, when someone's streaming, then another alert goes off and they're gonna be like, oh, who do I watch? I mean, obviously you're gonna watch the other person because they're gonna provide much better commentary, but yeah, I want to be least amount of collision as possible, which is the plan. I have a lot of free time. I have a lot of flexibility since that's the way my work works. So the plan is to try and fit it into like a jigsaw puzzle. Say if like Pastry streaming here and Mail streaming here, I'm gonna try and fit in between, or I'm gonna go like before or after. It's gonna work like that. But yeah, I don't think I've got anything else I want to say in terms of news. I think we can get into what I want to actually do this stream, which was talk about the Final Fantasies I've played. So, how about we get into that, shall we? Right, the Final Fantasy retrospective. I don't know what the word retrospective means. I just like the sound of it. And I see all those YouTubers using the word retrospective, so I thought I'd use it here. I think it literally just means your overview after playing the games. Honestly, my advice, never worry about other people's stream times, do what works for you best, otherwise you'll be worried about stepping on toes and it gets so tiring. It's true. But the good thing about this show will be it's going to be like hour or 2 hour segments, so I can literally just squeeze it in between people's schedules. And yeah, if I do end up wanting to talk about something and I just want to do it during a certain segment, I will collide. It's bound to happen. There are so many of us streaming, like Morbo streams, Finn streams, all of the wonderful community streamers, and I just wanted to kind of jump back on the platform a little bit because I feel like I'm just sitting in a seat that I don't really deserve in the Discord. I mean, deserve. I'm sitting in a community streamer seat. I am a community streamer. I need to stream. Means looking back in old games usually serious. Oh, there we go. That I got it right. Oh, 15 isn't an old game, but you know. Before we start, why don't I open a fortune cookie? In fact, I'm interested to see how this sounds like with the reverb filter. Give me a sec. Where's my mouse gone? Mouse? There you are. Alright, here we go. Fortune cookie opening. And now for the crack. Again, I have no idea how that sounded. Right, let's see what the actual word is, shall we? Okay, so the phrase I got was, you have the power to write your own fortune. Wow! I really do! Okay. Fortune cookie unlocked. Let's talk about some games. So, let's add some music, add some backing tracks, let's add everything that I'm going to need for this, which is the table. Right, there we go. In fact, I could probably move myself over a little bit. So give me a sec. I'm going to move myself. Oh, God. Ah! There we go. And... Music BSP. And we're going to be using this song because people like the song. He flow. He flow indeed. Is this playing for you guys? Because I can't hear it. It's gonna play twice. Hold on, how do I mute the output? There we go. So, now I can hear it. Yeah, there you go. I have made it my mission, I think, since I finished Final Fantasy XIV back in June/July time, to play through the series of Final Fantasy. This being all the main games and maybe some spin-offs. From 1 all the way to 15 and the upcoming 16. I didn't want to go in chronological order. I have heard fateful tales, terrors, tragedies of people who started with FF1 and falling off the series because of how brutal those first 3 games are. And I decided I didn't want to go down that route. I wanted this to be a pleasant experience, like a Disneyland ride. So I thought, let me start with the game that people love the most. Why don't I start with the one that at least has the least amount of controversy surrounding it? And that was, and is, Final Fantasy IX. This game, if I hold on, I can change the banner for this. It old, it hard, yeah. That's just the pattern with old games, isn't it? Also, try and guess what song this is, chat, because it is a song from FF9. So, yeah, I started with FF9, and I did end up writing a review for this. I should say that when I was planning this, I did write a review for FF9, but I ended up just deciding it was better to maybe save this for a podcast-esque thing, and here we are to talk about this game. And how the music sounds really loud, actually, doesn't it? Oh, give me a sec. Actually, hold on, you guys can't hear it, can you? Why can't you hear it? Oh, fuck. Fucker! There you go. It's really quiet on our side if that helps. Yeah, because it's just audio spaghettiing, and we don't need Chrome audio right now. So yeah, music BSP. So in terms of Final Fantasy IX, I mean, I wrote it out like this. Let's start with story. Spoiler warning. Audio is such a fucking Windows, it really is. Spoiler warning for the story. We're gonna get this out of the way to start off with because there's a lot of spoilerish stuff in this. So I'm gonna be putting out this warning beforehand. It is a 20-year-old game. I will say that, but I will still put it on the screen in case people haven't played this yet. FF9 has an absolutely magical story. This game, like, if there's one word to describe it, and let me get my MS Paint thing up for this, shall I? Where is this? I would describe it as magical. Okay, that's not using the space appropriately, is it? I would describe it as magical. Why? Well, up until this point, we've had a thing with the Final Fantasies where their stories are very sci-fi focused. There's a lot of like big cinematic events with these edgelords, super dark and mature, and cool characters like Cloud or Squall. Even FF6 had a fairly dark storyline, and I love FF6, by the way. I love that game a lot. This game felt like a storybook. It felt like a tragedy all combined into one neat little fun package, and I think that kind of bogs it down to the overall message, which I think was fantastic. Like, one of the best messages in a video game I've seen anyway, which is surprising considering it's such an old video game. It's such an old like format for making video games, where back then story wasn't the focus. Like, the overall message wasn't the focus. Yeah, sure, you had RPGs back then, but they were kind of from point to point, small little story things that kind of just grew on top of each other. Like, but of course there was the odd exception where the story really hit, and FF9 did that for me. It was magical. Like I said, the word would be magical. I think that kind of gets bogged down to the ending, which is Phoebe's death. A lot of the characters' deaths, because I'm pretty sure Zidane also has a short amount of life. Like, if I was to describe the overall message with 9, it was like spending your time and using it with the time you have. Like, spending it with the people you can in the short amount of time you have left on the world. And that's kind of why 9 works so well, because it is set in such a high fantasy setting. They're able to get away with these more darker themes, despite the fact that it is kind of just layered on with a lot of comedy and a lot of slapstick. And that makes the themes work better, because despite the fact that this is like for a younger audience Final Fantasy, I would say it has darker themes than 7 and 8 combined. Like, there's a lot of sad stuff in this. Like, I think that the whole Terra and what was the name of our planet in 9? I forgot. But the whole war between them, or the whole like the punishment between them was so well done. But I feel like they could have touched it a little bit more, because it felt like Terra was a kind of an afterthought at the end. You go there at the end of the game, and it's really cool looking. It's like coral underwater place that isn't actually underwater, and the technology there is really cool. Like, you get to see Pandemonium, for example, which is actually in 514 if you didn't know, and it does feel like they just bring it in at the end just to show that this place existed, but they don't really do a whole lot of it outside of Final Fantasy location being cool. And I would have liked that. There was a lot of there's a lot of foreshadowing. There's a lot of build up to the actual reveal. You go to Oiliver and you see the ruins that Terra left on our planet. I think it's called Gaia now that I remember. yeah, it's a lot of ruins that are left on Gaia. You see all the old architecture, and then you finally get to go to Terra, and it's really cool. But you're there for like an hour, and then you leave. It has some of the best stuff in the entire game. Don't get me wrong, and the whole end part of this game is fantastic. Like the section in Pandemonium with the "You're Not Alone" song playing is fucking fantastic. I will be talking about that in the music part. But yeah, 9 carries its story with a lot of grace, but it also repeats a lot of locations a lot. You go back to Alexander a few times, you go back to Limblum a lot of the time, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think that the game's main problem is pacing. Despite the fact that it carries itself with a certain identity quite well, the message, I think the game suddenly speeds up to infinity towards the end. Like when you get to, yeah, you're not alone, yeah, I was going to play that during this, but I didn't want to cry. When you get to the end of, I think actually I would say when you leave, what is the Kuja's prison? The game just decides, okay, let's speed up to 1000%. Here's Terra, here's Memoria, here's the final boss, here's Kuja in under 2 hours. It's like, whoa, where did this ending come from? And I feel like that could have been better paced. There's a lot of stuff in the intermediate area in this game that I feel like could have been not cut down on, but definitely shortened a little bit. I will say this game's second act was a little bit weaker than its first and third. And I haven't actually talked about the first act, have I? The whole opening to this game is my favourite opening in an RPG. The whole part where you go to the theatre, there's a lot of whimsy, a lot of slapstick with I was about to call him Slambert, but that's not his name, is he? Steiner. The whole whimsy and like fun behind that whole opening segment was awesome. Yeah, it could be in a feature Disney movie. Like it could be in an actual movie, and I would love it. Like that, I think that's what this game does the best out of all the Final Fantasies. Is it feels like it could actually be a movie, which is probably why it's getting a Netflix series. Which is, I don't think it's gonna be good, but we'll see. I mean, FF7 remake is good, but I don't know if I trust the team they've got to make that, considering what they've worked on in the past. But we'll see. So yeah, story is magical. It's wonderful. And I don't like rating stuff, by the way, so I'm not going to give it like a 9 out of 10 or 7 out of 10, because there's a lot of elements to a good story, and I don't think that there's enough time or enough numbers to describe that. So I'm just going to use a word to describe it instead, since, you know, we made words, so let's use them. Right, characters. Okay, I have realised, timing-wise, I do want to get through these sections a little bit faster. So let's not necessarily rush through this, but let's have a little chat about the characters. Best character, Vivi. Worst character, the guy, the red-haired guy, because I don't know why he's with you. He's just there. I feel like he was meant to be in a different Final Fantasy game, but they decided, okay, we can't actually use him here, but let's just put him in the game anyway, because why not? So, yeah. Also, a lot of missed potential of some of the characters. I thought that Freya gets heavily underutilized in the last part, in fact, the last second half of the game. After Bamicia and Clara, she just kind of disappears. Like, I understand that there's a lot of characters, there's a lot of story that is flowing, they can't use every character to the extent that they could. But Freya just kind of gets shafted, would be the word to describe her. Like, she is there, she is talking, but she doesn't do anything, she just stands there. It's like, you have this really interesting, like, heroine who has gone on, not necessarily a revenge path, but a path of rebuilding her nation, and she doesn't add anything to any of the conversations. She just kind of just says, hey, I'm here to help you, I'm here to sort stuff out. Like, there's a lot of interactions they could have done with her, which they didn't really do, so I thought there's a lot of missed potential of that. But the rest of the characters are fantastic. Let's see. Zidane is awesome. Again, the You're Not Alone sequence is fantastic, and it made his character so much better. I like the fact that he is kind of your basic hero, but there's a lot of layers to him, which and we get to see a more sensitive side to him during the "You're Not Alone" sequence, which is very well done. I would like to say. I keep saying it because it's wonderful. Dagger, is basically what Shana should have been in Legend of Dragoon. Like, she's a character who starts off with a lot of vulnerability and she doesn't really do anything, but as she goes along, she realizes her responsibility and what she needs to do. She stops running away, for one. She finds herself after all the terrible things that happen to her. Like, a lot of terrible things happen to these characters. If we were to do a tier list, Vivi would obviously be at top, but Dagger would be a close second, considering her entire kingdom gets destroyed. She loses her mother, and nearly loses Steiner and Beatrice as well. So, yeah. A lot of tragedy, and she's able to come out on top. Despite all the terrible stuff that happened to her, she came out alive at the end, and I like that. Vivi, again, I mean, everyone loves Vivi. Vivi is like on all the merchandise, and I didn't know going into the game that Vivi died, and that made me sad. That made me very sad. I was like, wait, what? I thought people just liked him because he was cute. I didn't actually think they killed him at the end. What the fuck? But to add on to kind of Vivi, his little speech at the end was wonderful. I was sad, and I was made sad by that ending. Steiner is your kind of comic relief character, but again, with a lot of the characters in this game, there's a lot of nuance of him. He has this kind of... He views the world in black and white. He doesn't like Zidane at first because he thinks he's just a petty thief. He just wants to kidnap Dagger, and he wants to rescue the princess, obviously. But as the story goes along, he realizes there's a lot of grey when it comes to that sort of thing. Like, it's not as simple as bad guy wants to destroy world because he can. Like, even Kuja, his end argument at the end was, if I'm going to die, the whole world will die with me because there's no point for it to also exist. And it's not the best villain motivation, but it's certainly an interesting one. Like, he just is so fearful of his death that he doesn't want to go alone. And I think that's interesting as a villain anyway. Like, you know, say what you will about Sephiroth. I haven't played FF7, but I don't think he had that amount of nuance, especially towards the end of his journey. I will say they could have definitely added it earlier on, considering that for most of the game he's just kind of this one-dimensional villain who just does bad stuff, similar to Sephiroth, which is why I kept calling him that in that game, in that recording. But yeah, Steiner is fantastic. Wonderful. Again, the "You're Not Alone" sequence. It's kind of the perfect place for all the characters. They all get a say in there outside of Freya and the Red Man, because they're not really characters by that point. They're just shallow husks of what they once were. Well, at least Freya was anyway. Aiko? I mean, she has the best lines in the game. She calls a member of Terror a bimbo, which I didn't know going in, and it slayed me. It was wonderful. Aiko is a child, but she has the most amount of profanity out of all the characters, and it's amazing. They do a really good job with her, I think. So we're going to put it as, with her anyway, we're going to put it as, oh, come on, give me freedom. Give me freedom to write stuff down. So, if story is magical, what would characters be? Great. There we go. I definitely think there's a lot of work they could do with some of the characters, but for the more interesting ones, they do a fantastic job. I mean, Vivi, Zidane, Dagger, all wonderful. It's probably why you don't see that much stuff about Freya online, because she just doesn't have a lot to do in that game. She just kind of stands there as a plot device. Right. The world. So Gaia as a world, I will say this is one of the weaker elements of the game. There isn't a whole lot of world building outside of the fact that there are 3 kingdoms in the Mist Continent: Alexander, Bermesia, and Limblum. I can't say that word. You try and make me chat. I can't. Limblum. It's a tongue twister. But the actual cities themselves look really cool. I like Alexander and the giant sword. It eventually becomes the primal, obviously. Limblum, like the giant like skyship like terrace is awesome looking. They do a lot of cool stuff with that place. And then Babesia, the city of eternal rain. I mean, the visual element of that place just makes it great for concept art, and they do a fair bit of that as well. And obviously, Clara is the wind city, but I found it interesting in the game that people apparently live in Clara, considering that it is constant wind, and I don't know how you'd be able to sleep through that. It's like sleeping through a hurricane. No. But yeah, my main problem with the world is outside of the Mist Continent, there isn't that many places you go to. Like you got the main capitals, but then you got Dwarf Village, Lifer Tree, and I guess they were kind of painting the image that the Mist Continent was the only place where people lived, and that all these other places were isolated. But like you have got little places around those other continents, so I think a better scope of the world would have been nicer. So the world, I guess, I would say it would have the scope was small, but I would say it was imaginative either way. Same in presentation. In fact, both of these could be described as imaginative. But yeah, the world I would say is small. Oh, that is in the wrong place. As for presentation, I mean, the fact that this game, despite being limited by it being high fantasy, like the previous games had sci-fi elements. Even FF6 had sci-fi elements in it. Like the Magitech stuff was not just high fantasy; it was like steampunk. And the 7 and 8 Sworddown were like, oh, we want a piece of that action, so they also did that. But 9 went back to roots a little bit. The pun is there. It has a lot of like earthen, like canopy, the trees. There's so much ruins that are all embedded into like nature in this game. I love the Lifer Tree, for example. You could say it's made out of like this weird like latticed metal, but there's like an odd like unnatural element to it, despite the fact that it's not sci-fi. Like Terra, for example, is this obviously alien world with the pandemonium and like the coal aesthetic, like I mentioned before. Like Oiliver is awesome. Alexander, Limbo, I already mentioned those places before. The presentation on display in this game is phenomenal. I would say that even 9 doesn't get as imaginative as 6. In fact, I would say one of 6's problems is that it doesn't like dive head first into this weird like world as much as 9 does. Like perfect example of that is the final dungeon. Like Memoria is breathtaking. Like every single location in that dungeon is concept art worthy. Like it doesn't even need to be that cool looking. It needs to be a final dungeon, and every single room could be its own dungeon. Like you got that room with the 2 planets colliding in the background. You got that like rusted like time travel steampunk room that reminded me a lot of Chrono Trigger. You got that room with the giant dead sun in the background where you climb a ladder in front of it, so you like you become like its shadow. There's a room with like there's a giant ladder room. There's a room where you fall through space. You go to the origin of the universe with a crystal dimension, and that place is awesome as well. The presentation is just wonderful, absolutely amazing. I would say, in every sense of the word. Well, I'm getting lots of beeps right now. What's happening? Okay, so then we lead on to battle. Uh, the battle in this game is, I would describe it as, I think using the word fun isn't good, but I would say describe it as very classic. Maybe I should describe 6 as classic. But basically what I'm saying there is, in fact, maybe classic isn't the right word for that. Maybe the right word would be a little simple. Like 6 is also simple, but a lot of FF9 combat can be bogged down to use elementally infused fire weapon with Steiner, and then you'll do big damage. Use Ico because Ico is actually broken with Reflect. These games taught me a lot about how RPGs work in terms of battling, like the fact that Reflect should be put on all your party members because it does more damage. If you put a Phoenix down on an enemy that is elementally infused with death, it will kill the enemy because Phoenix down is life, zombie is death. If you get a zombie, you can't heal the party member because that'll kill them. Like, there's a lot of small little tricks and hints that I learned as I played FF6 and FF9. I thought it was fun. I definitely kind of missed that in 15, even though I know 15 was going for the more modern aesthetic. And then obviously we have, I don't really want to go into much into battle. I think the battle was fine. Level 5 death can fuck off though. Music! Perfect. I would like to write perfect, please. I mean, we're listening to a track right now in the background, which is called Rose of May. This is Beatrix's theme, at least from what people have said online. It's never confirmed to be Beatrix's theme, but people pretty much associate the song with her. This game has a fantastic soundtrack. I mean, it's been said to death. Oil Alert, You're Not Alone, Memoria, the battle theme, the boss theme, Kuja's theme, Vivi's theme, the Black Mage theme. All of these songs composed by the wonderful composer of the old Final Fantasy games. I had his name on my tongue there, but I completely forgot it. If anyone in chat knows, that'd be wonderful, but I completely forgot what his name was. I apologise, you do wonderful music, and he actually provided some tracks for FF14 as well, so I've already heard his music in the past, but yeah. The main theme is used wonderfully as well. I love when composers kind of go into like a theatre style with their music. They bring it back in different variants, different remixes. 6 does this as well with Terra's theme. 15 also does it to a fair degree. It's just wonderful music theory when a song is used multiple times with different themes, different feelings. This game does that perfectly with the main theme. Like when it comes back in Oil Alert and it's like this weird, twisted version of it. I love it. Final boss. So, lo and behold, the final boss is not in fact Kuja, despite the fact that he is the main antagonist for the whole game. This throws out a very out of left field final boss, which I'm very middling on, to be honest. In fact, the right word in this situation would be middling. Come on, L. Yeah, so yeah, middling would be the way I would describe the final boss. I watched a good video essay on Necron in the past on YouTube, and it did kind of go into why he works as the final villain, as a metaphor for grief and a metaphor for fear of death. That's fine, but I kind of want more with how much built up they had for Kuja. They just kind of, okay, we're gonna throw God at you now because it's a Final Fantasy game and you have to fight God. Like, that's fine. Okay, the Final Fantasy trope can work. It works in 6, and it also works in 15, although to a lesser degree in 15. I'm very mixed on it. Like, I know people like it, but I don't. I just kind of would have preferred if Kuja got like a massive upgrade or something. Like, you could have just made the final boss trans Kuja, but you didn't. Like, you fought him, and then suddenly this guy comes out of nowhere, and it was like, I'm the final boss now. Okay, Mr. Skeletor. Yeah, so that's why I thought of him. But uh, post game, I would describe as fun. If I can have my mouse back, that is. Oh, hello. No. Okay. Fun to an extent because I haven't. Okay, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna be straight with you, chat. I haven't actually finished this post game in FF9 yet. I know I should have, but I haven't beat Ultima because I just haven't had time. I've been doing all the other Final Fantasies, and I just want to just kind of focus on those for the most part. With the post game in 9, I will say that I like the Chocobo treasure hunt. That was a lot of fun. Fighting Hades was good, but Ozma as a boss fight, despite the consensus that he is hard and by that extent can be enjoyable, something that is hard doesn't mean that it's fun. So just because something's difficult, there's a level of challenge to that can be fun, but it needs to be designed in a way where you can still find enjoyment from it. I didn't really have that with Ozma. I just thought that his attacks were RNG, despite the fact that obviously you can prepare for him. You can get dark infused armor, which does make that fight considerably easier. I don't like the way they did that fight because it felt a lot of the time it was RNG when it came to Meteor or Doomsday. Doomsday doesn't really do anything, but there's certain attacks like Curse, which I wasn't prepared for, by the way. I was told Doomsday would suck, but Curse is way worse. I just feel like it's very RNG, and you know, it's an old game. I understand that it has to exist. I just don't like it. Which I think is fair. But yeah, overall thoughts. I mean, I've used a lot of words to describe this, but I'm going to describe it how I described it in my. Okay, there's my mouse. I'm going to describe it how I described it in my first ever episode of Final Fantasy 9. Oh, okay, we went off a little bit, but that's fine. A classic. This game, I think, was a good start for my marathon because it takes the best parts of Final Fantasy and meshes them into a world with characters you love, a story that will tug at your heartstrings harder than any other, and it even makes you question your own existence. It's like, what am I doing with my life? You don't get long in this world. What am I gonna do with it? Think about Vivi and how long he had in this world. So yeah, FF9, wonderful. Right, we've got 2 more games to get through, and then a ton more stuff. Maybe we skip one of these. I mean, I'm not going to be talking about 15 for long. I don't want to talk about 15 for long. Right. So we're going to clear my edits as well. You're going to see a giant white square. Don't be alarmed. That's just me changing the text, so we're ready for the next part. Right. And I also got new music for this as well. Searching for friends. What? Yeah, it is searching for friends. I played FF9, FF6 after FF9 because I heard this is the Pixel, the game that defined Final Fantasy. I know, obviously, the previous games also allowed it to have a great reputation, but this is the one that people most think about when it comes to this series. Maybe 7, a little bit more, maybe also 9, but this game changed the world when it came to RPGs, and I have to take that into account when I'm doing this, obviously. And obviously, taking that into account, I'm not going to allow that to change my opinion. I am playing this as an RPG. I am only seeing it as that. I'm not seeing it as this game that changed the entire industry when it came to that stuff. However, that's obviously important to understand. I'm just going to say this straight. This game I liked more than 8 and 9 in a lot of ways. This might be my favorite Final Fantasy game and one of my favorite RPGs ever. Up there along with Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross, which isn't really a surprise. People love this game, but I remember people were skeptical when I went into this if I would like it as much as 9 or even some of the later Final Fantasies, because it's a very old classic game which has simple combat system, simple character designs, simple pixel aesthetic. Right. That didn't change the fact that this game has a wonderful story, and that's saying something considering it's not as complicated as 9 story is anyway. This kind of follows the same pattern as, say, A Link to a Past. You have a first half and a second half. Disc 1 and Disc 2. Disc 1 goes into the world of light. You have that absolutely incredible opening with the Magitech armors coming over the hill, coming to the small town of Nash, and you meet Terra for the first time, and we'll talk about Terra in a minute, but this game doesn't have the set pieces the same as 9, but I like the smaller scale of its story, despite the fact that this game does something 9 doesn't do, which is it fully commits to destroying the world. Disc 2, or Disc 1 ends with literally the world being cut in half. The world is in ruin. It's described as, the game even describes it in the official material as the world of ruin. The bad guy wins. This doesn't happen in RPGs. This doesn't happen in stories that are enough. Chrono Trigger did it too. And that was wonderful on Chrono Trigger. The fact that Lavos was this natural, it wasn't even like a smarmy, charismatic villain like Kefka is. Lavos was just a natural disaster. He was a giant creature of chaos and wrath, and it worked so well for that game's story. It allowed more focus on the characters rather than the villain's motivations, because you don't need a motivation for a Star Killer. But I'm talking about Chrono Trigger. I don't know why I started ranting about Chrono Trigger. Final Fantasy VI. Kefka wins. He destroys the world. He cuts it in half. He uses the rays of judgment to destroy the world with the Roaring Triad. And there are times in the game where you actually feel the dread, the hopelessness of the situation. Celes, one of the first things that happens in... Okay, no, let's actually talk this through. Disc 2 begins with you waking up as Celes on an abandoned island with Cid, who's been looking after you. Firstly, you've been unconscious for a year. It has been a year since what happened. Cid dies because he's sick, which is awful, and that means Celes is on his own. In fact, there's also a belief that Celes was on that island awake for about a month before Cid died, according to people, because you tend to get him fish a lot. Cid dies. He basically becomes Celes' father figure, so she feels distraught. And then the next scene, Celes throws herself off a cliff, and it's awful. It's an awful, and it makes me feel sad for her. She doesn't die. She survives, and she comes back with this sense of, maybe there is something worth fighting for. Maybe I should save this world for everyone. And the game's, like, obviously 9 did this too, with the world being destroyed with the roots at the end of the game, but we never really saw that. That was all post-game. With not 6, it's all about killing Kefka. He has already won. At this point, it's just killing him so you can actually bring the world back. The world is mostly gone, so they have to rebuild, and because it is an RPG and it isn't in a preset world, they can get away with that. So I would say out of all the worlds in the Final Fantasy series, this one has the worst of it, because so many people die when the world changes. So I would describe the story as, like, tragic. That would be the word for it, I think. Tragic. but there's a sense of hopefulness at the end as well. Like you as the player are saving this world. It has already been destroyed. You have that feeling of hopelessness now. Like, what's the point if the world is already gone? The game makes it its mission to make you understand why it's still worth it. And I would say the first half of this game is good, but the second half is just... can't describe how much I love the second half of this game. Like, every single character, and I'd also like to point out, this game has, I think, 20 playable characters in it. There's a lot of playable characters in this game. And obviously some don't get as much screen time as others, but unlike FF9, no main character gets disregarded. Sabin gets his character arc. Terra gets his character arc, gets her character arc. They all get a moment to shine. And there's even like little scenes you can miss. Like, there's a whole storyline with Ga, the little caveman kid, which has you trying to meet his father, and you have to go get a little outfit for him. And all the party members think of different outfits because that's their personality, and it's wonderful. Despite the fact that this is a pixel game and the characters are sprites, they're little blocks all placed on top of each other. You don't see them. You don't even get a little profile pics for them. The only experience you get with the characters is through the text. And with that in tow, the game does a wonderful job. It floors me how good the game's dialogue is in spots. Like, there's so much iconic stuff. Kefka's every single line Kefka says is wonderful. It's amazing. But the way the game handles its story themes, even the darker ones, like, they don't gloss over Celes' suicide attempt. They acknowledge it. They understand that this is how a character would react to the world being destroyed. And we see other people also deal with that. Like, Locke is trying to find a way to cure his dying wife. And you do that, but he doesn't come back. He still dies. So everything he did was for nothing. But he got to spend a few moments with her before she went. And again, another scene that was really sad. They also try and bring a bit of levity into it, luckily. You get like the portrait storyline, the haunted house was fun. You got the return of the train, which, you know, the ghost train, we can talk about that. I wasn't prepared for how emotionally involved I got in that. I didn't know that we would see like Cyan's kids and his wife as they go to the afterlife, and Cyan was like, "No, don't go." I was like, fuck! I didn't know this was going to happen. I just remembered we're going to suplex the train at Starbin. So the way I describe the characters is colourful. Colourful bunch of characters. There's a lot of characters who don't get a lot of screen time. In fact, each one has their own playstyle, but I ended up only really using the kind of like the pure bred like characters who have basic RPG mechanics. I didn't use the Blue Mage because I didn't care. Like, I wanted to use the old man, and obviously the caveman kid had an interesting moveset, but I just decided I didn't want to do that. Of course, I couldn't do that though, because the way this game works is at the end of the game, in the final dungeon, you can't go in there with a party of 4. You have to go through the whole section with a party of 12. And you have to switch between 3 teams as you make your way through Kefka's tower. And it's amazing. I loved having to prep for that and getting everything ready. But the whole of Disc 2, and we can probably talk about this in the world section as well, because it is talking about the world. The whole of Disc 2 has you preparing for eventually meeting Kefka. In fact, in a way, it kind of reminds me of Breath of the Wild. The end goal is there. You can go there anytime after you get the airship. But the more characters you have, the better off you'll be. You need at least 12 characters to get into the final dungeon. Well, no, I think you don't actually. I think you just need 1 person every team. You need 3 characters to get into the final dungeon. But it will be absolutely grueling if you do that. And so the game's like, okay, you can go now, or will give you the tools you need to get through there. We'll give you stuff like Joelcast, we'll give you more party members, more than you had before in the World of Light, we'll give you new abilities, new story cutscenes. All you have to do is explore our new world, and yeah, it's wonderful. Not enough games do that, I would say. Like where you get, I think Dragon Quest XI does that at one point, where you can continue, but there's so many little side quests, so many little character interactions you may miss, and so I think the game works quite well of that. Works quite well with its overall theme of the World of Ruin. I just love the World of Ruin. I think it's one of the best examples of how you incorporate gameplay into the overall story and tone. Like, you are building the blocks to be able to defeat Kefka. Not the game, not through a scripted cutscene, not like in FF15 where you just give them plot armor and plot weapons. You have to build your party, and you are basically taking down God at the end. So the world, I would say, is masterful in how it's done. That is, the M is too high up. So, presentation. Obviously the game is pixel. It's pixel art. It is an SNES game. It was bound to have graphical things. The thing about pixel art is, though, like, it looks great. It looks wonderful. I am playing Breath of Fire 4 currently, and that game has wonderful pixel art that I think rivals current graphics. It's all about art direction in the end. Like, it doesn't matter how good your game looks, it just matters about the focus in which you take your art. So I would say that there's not a lot to talk about presentation-wise. I would just say it was good. Like, it was good. It's a pixel game. It doesn't do anything absolutely incredible. The Mode 7 in it, I have heard, was revolutionary in terms of the airship. So I will take people's word for that. That was apparently really good. I don't know. I didn't grow up with this game, but apparently good for them. Good for the devs introducing these revolutionary mechanics in them. Like battle. I would say the battle, despite being a very classic battle system, was fairly complicated. I like the intricacies of it. I like how it was a full network. I would say the way I would describe the battle was full. What would be a better word for full? Maybe complicated. Like, complicated isn't necessarily a bad thing. This means there's a lot of systems. Yeah, let's describe it as complicated. At the end of the day, you get given combos which are, surprisingly, a lot of them were QTE based. I didn't realise that there would be QTEs in this game, but there were, and it made actually using them a lot better. Like, if you're up and coming RPG dev out there and you want to give your game a little bit more fun when you run through the combat and it's turn based, I would say go for the QTE angle, or what like Undertale did, where you could dodge attacks and you have to time your burn inputs for certain stuff. This game has that with Sabin, and I think Cyan as well. But in terms of battle, I ended up reaching a point in this game where I could just kill anything in like a few turns. Death Gaze, the post-game boss. In fact, I'm going to have to put N/A in post-game because there is no post-game in this. Spoilers. Or spoiler alert is already on the screen. Yeah, Death Gaze I killed in very quickly. The way Death Gaze works as a secret boss is you encounter him in the world map, but it's not a straight up fight. You can do damage to him, but he can run away. That damage is carried over between each fight, so as long as you encounter him again, you have a chance of killing him. So I encountered him twice, and we killed him in the second run. I don't think that was meant to happen. I think I made my characters a little bit broken in terms of levels. Especially the characters I didn't even play as, but that often. But I do love how, at the end of the game, I had to learn 8 completely different movesets, and that would definitely say got a little complicated. It wasn't bad, because I actually had some bangers in there. I split up the party to make it so that they were even, and they had the characters I had used more in each of them, so it was more spread out in my experience. But I ended up quite enjoying playing as some of them, and funnily enough, in the final fight against Kefka, I ended up having the party I wanted to have for the final boss because Cyan ended up dying and Shadow took his place. And yeah, that ended up being kind of cool. I would definitely say if you haven't checked out my finale for that, it was a lot of fun. And reaching that point, in fact, the whole final boss, and I will get to that in a minute, was wonderful. Music. Where's my cursor? Exceptional. All the way exceptional. This game has a perfect soundtrack, the same as 9. Like, the guy who did it again. He brought us something wonderful with this. I wouldn't say it's far to say that 9 and 6 have perfect soundtracks when it comes to Final Fantasy. The games all have great soundtracks. There's not a whole lot to say. Searching for Your Friends, the battle theme, a lot of the just the main theme. In fact, I thought was very unique for Final Fantasy. It's like this dark ascending note, like just goes up slowly, and it's got a lot of like horror themes to it, like the organ they use there. And I quite like that song. I quite like they went down that route with the music because obviously this game is a lot darker than some of the others, which 9 didn't have, but it definitely had a similar tone. Terra's theme. I can't believe I haven't even mentioned it up until now. Terra's theme is, I mean, people talk about it all the time. It's perfect. It's a perfectly done theme. And then final boss. This final boss is one of my favorite final bosses. Again, this RPG is one of my favorite RPGs now. This final boss is one of my favorite final bosses. Kefka, you don't even fight Kefka straight away. You fight a tower, basically. You're ascending up to him. You have to fight these like statues that are all merged together. It reminds me a little bit of X-Death's design in FF4. I have, or not FF4, FF5. I know about that because of 14. All these merged together like forms all together, and it looks really cool. And then you get to the top, and you finally fight him in all of his godly glory, and the music like chimes up. You're finally there. Even Kefka's like, wait, what the fuck? You're actually gonna kill me? And it's wonderful. It's completely the opposite of how I felt in 9, where the abrupt change in boss kind of ruined the flow. This just perfects it. It curves off. It catapults into the stratosphere in terms of the perfect ending to this game. And yeah, the fact that Kefka, he was kind of the main villain in this entire game. He finally got his moment here, and we finally got to kill him. I was so happy, and it was wonderfully done. Yeah, so again, there's no post game. FF9, FF6. How do I describe it? Wow, there's only one word to describe a game of this level, of this magnitude. There's an M. There's a T. There's a master. Masterpiece. I would say it's in the same realm for me as Chrono Trigger, which is shocking to people. I love this game. I want more of it. That's what I'm actually really excited to play 4 and 5 because those are apparently really good as well. Right, well that is 9 or 6. What the fuck's sake? That is 6. We're going to do 15 now. Do we even have time for 15? Because I got a lot of stuff I need to go through. We could take it for next week and do 15 now because I kind of want to do the IGN interview and the 16 stuff. So, you know what? 15, I don't even care about you. I'm just going to put you in the back burner. You can stay there. We're going to go do the other stuff now. So we can take the spoiler warning off because we're just talking about 16 now. Spoiler warning can go. And this can go. Yeah, I got my wonderful. The art needs to go now as well, unfortunately. I will be saving this for later on, but there we go. And now on to FF16, which is I was interested in anyway because of the interview that came out recently for this. So, if you don't know, FF16 got a recent IGN interview. It got a little preview asking some questions about the game and what is currently going on with the development process. I'm gonna make myself a little bit smaller for this because I have actually got the banner. I need to get the actual interview up now. Give me a sec. There it is at the bottom. And there was some controversy surrounding FF9, FF6, FF16. This game received a little bit, or the main developer got a little bit of had a little bit of a problem with saying something in a recent interview. We will mention that, but I have talked about that quite a bit in the past to people, so I will briefly go over it, but yeah, it wasn't the best response. Let's have a little bit to the right, there we go. Right. It might be I need to move the actual OBS screen over, but I need access to this, so... Okay, border is achieved. So yeah, main developer opens up about game and its development. Can I have this, please? Whoa. I wasn't prepared for this music, but here we are. So we got a little bit of news about FF16. I got this little box opening for stuff. No. No ads. Don't do that to me. So, in terms of finding stuff out about this game, I was curious. Is that a flower talking? What manner of witchcraft is this? It is. I am talking. I can finally live up to my namesake, which is talking. Hi, House. I hope you're doing good. Fucking hell, my mouse is just non-existent right now. I think it's because this is a fairly... In OBS, it's a fairly big file. I might need to split it out when I actually do more stuff like this. So we're not big. Okay, there we go. So yeah, FF16. This music is not... This music, god damn it. What's this music from? I haven't heard this song before. Oh, okay. Hi, Wave. Okay, we are currently struggling a little bit internet-wise. Give me a sec. See if I can fix this. Oh, come on. Right, welcome back. We are back for more interview. Hopefully I am back. I think I am back. Now, if you're wondering if this part is going to be cut up like this because of Twitch, don't worry, I'm recording it, so it will all come out as one part. Fingers crossed. But yes, so we found out, I ended a little interview with Final Fantasy 16 devs. We know that they talked to them about certain stuff. Welcome back. Thank you, Hellscythe. You welcome back too. Yeah, we found out that they had a little interview, so localization team, they thought about their first M-rating game in the series. Yeah, so I found this out recently as well. This game is M-rated. I mean, we can kind of gather that from the trailer, and I think literally the first thing we saw was M-rating. This is the first Final Fantasy game that has an M rating. I think even 15 had a 15 rating, ironically. I am intrigued, but I'm also, like, skeptical, because I'm like, oh, does this mean that they're going to go, like, really edgy with it and just not do anything fun at all? Yeah, so there's also stuff about, first, I think how side quests will work, and they also talked about the female protagonist, who is what we assume to be is that person who was unfortunately enslaved in the trailer, and how Clive will interact. And this is actually something I am curious about, because I myself don't know how this game is going to work with its companions. I assume it'd be something similar to 15, but we'll have a look. So, while this game does feature a prominent female protagonist, I would hazard the similarities end there. And with all Vando respective percentages, however, has since the early con has always been about Clive, but as is the case of all Final Fantasies, Clive's story is about encounters, it is about encounter companions, about relationships and how through these relationships Clive grows. So this is basically saying that the way they're gonna do the story is entirely focused around Clive, like as a character. And name aside, I am curious what they're going to do with him, because as much as we know right now, he is cool, brooding man who has a younger brother. And I think from the trailer, we can infer that because of his brother's death, something bad happens to him. He maybe gets exiled for it or something. But yeah. I would say spoiler alert, but if you haven't seen the trailer and you're looking at Final Fantasy 16 IGN interview, I would say don't stop watching now. So yeah. That's something about Clive, as a development. So here's Yoshi P. If you don't know who Yoshi P is, he worked on Final Fantasy 14, and he brought that game back from the depth, from its depths. He like dug it out of its grave, and he gave us something that, like, I think is going to be wonderful. I generally don't know how they could do 16 badly, considering how they revived what was one of the worst MMOs at the time, and they turned it into something absolutely amazing. So yeah, first question, can you talk about the evolved crystals in Final Fantasy 16 and how they are both similar and different to previous games in the series? The source of all magic, and consume them as though they are deposits of resources like oil. Consume them? Will they, like, eat them? I mean, I would assume, thinking about 16 and how 16, oh, not 16, 14, spoilers for 14. In fact, I'll put a spoiler thing on just for this part, but in 14, there's this concept of the primals. The primals are beings that are brought into being from worship, from being from a sign or an idol. And we see this a fair bit across the story. We see a character called Yotsue become a primal through worship, not worship, but through idolism, through this mirror she has. She becomes this primal. But you can't just do that willy-nilly. You need a source, and that source in this is crystals. And it looks like they're going down fairly similar routes with this. Like, for example, Isael, for example, as well, a character in Heavensward, she becomes Shiva, not actual Shiva, but she becomes like a mirror, like a dark image of her, and she has to consume crystals to be able to do that. And this feels like it's something they're going to do fairly similar to, anyway. That spoiler warning can go away. Perhaps you could say the crystals are portrayed as a vital and familiar part of the way that's distinctive about their depiction in Final Fantasy 16. The nations of Valisphere, I think is how it's pronounced by him, conduct large-scale war of these crystals, something deeply connected to the story. So I hope you will be excited to discover more where the crystals may have another significant meaning. This might be talking about the dominance part of it, talking about the fact that different to 14, they don't require worship to form these primals. They just require themselves. At least it looked like that from the trailer. Like, we saw the kid when his watched someone die in front of him, he was able to become Phoenix without like any requirement. There was no crystals, there was nothing there, and I'm curious how they're going to work that into the story. Like, where's this power source coming from? You don't just have the sudden power out of nowhere. So does he have to consume like a daily eating of crystals or something? Does he need to have like 6 crystals before breakfast and 6 crystals before bread? Like, what does he need for this? So I guess we'll find out as in the game. Maybe the situation will become a tragedy. Maybe these people who can become these dominants can't survive long because it's using their own life essence to sustain them. I don't know. We'll see what happens. More in the trailer shows Bahamut, Titan, Garuda, Shiva, Leviathan, and Ifrit are all those the icons. Can we set some surprise summons in Final? Okay, this is where it's talking about Leviathan because we do also see. Oh wait, no, Leviathan is right there. At least you just said it as well. The mole shown at the end we recently revealed doesn't recount the story being told in it. It was painted in an ancient age many eons ago, so you can consider these icons appearing in the world icons that have historically existed in Valisphere. I can't say anything more about the mirror at this point in time, and it may actually be a little tricky to answer whether all these icons shown in the mirror will appear. Regardless, any more than that is still a secret. Icons are at the core of Final Fantasy 14's 15, 16 story. I don't remember if in 14 they also refer to them as icons. I don't think they do. I think they just call them primals in that game, and the term I use for them might just be from this, but across the series they've always used this E term to describe the summons. In 6 it was Espers. In 9 it was... What was it 9? Espers... Was it Aether? Ephera? Something like that. And in 15 it's Aetheron. So, yeah. I'm interested to see where that goes. There aren't too many of them, nor are there any hidden surprise icons. But this is because the story focuses on the icons, not including any hidden icons, or having a huge number of them means we can explore each icon and their dominant more thoroughly. And I think that's a wonderful way of doing it. Like, story-wise, Final Fantasy, especially 15, it struggled to find footing when it came to what its overall tone was. This feels like it's going for the route of, we're going to have these 8 characters, we're going to dive into their backstories, finding out more about them, finding out about why they are the dominant, what relationship do they have to the icon. I am curious to see where they go with each of these characters. Like, how are their behaviour influenced by these certain abilities they have? Like, what is, say, Clive's like behaviour because he is the dominant for Ifrit? What is the female character's relationship with Shiva? I am curious to see where they go about that. This is the first mainline Final Fantasy game to potentially get a mature rating. Can you talk about why the team decided to make this game darker and more violent than its predecessors? But what does it mean for the series as a whole? In the early stages, we decided we wouldn't tell a juvenile story. Some of the major considerations are the age of the range of the players we expect to form our core audience, and also that we have an increased ability to portray things in several means of what, because of the graphical fidelity increase, I guess. And now we also have increased ability to portray things in several means of the word. You may say it's a more violent depiction, but a key point here is that we didn't want to just make things more extreme, we wanted to show things more realistic. It's also about, I think, taking away that boundary with this game. Like, if we're gonna have full-scale icon, like, rampage stuff, we don't want it to be, like, have to limit itself because it has an age rating where it can't show blood, or it can't show, like, hundreds of people being, like, burned alive or something. I think this game, having that mature rating, kind of increases its scope a little bit in terms of its artistic vision, anyway. The world is backed by endless war between nations, so we had to include scenes of battle. Yeah, and if a cat doesn't have any blood spattered and slashes, well, that ends up looking natural, modern... Yeah, exactly. Recently, but I'm going to build butt up against this question of depicting things realistically and naturally. Oh, I mean, that's what 16 is going for, despite the fact that it's fantasy. It isn't going down that route of the fairy tale aesthetic that say 9 or 6 were. Well, 6 actually didn't do that at all. In fact, 6 was one of the more brutal games with its depictions of poison and children drinking that poison. So yeah, I wouldn't say 6 is the moral high ground here when it comes to realistic non-fairy tale situations. Watching the trailer, I found myself in particular the focus on political intrigue in a warring kingdoms, with Clive simply standing in for Geralt. Ooh. I actually didn't make that comparison. That would be certainly an interesting way of going about it in some ways. The two series been upon me, I suppose it's hard to make a medieval high fantasy game these days without drawing at least a few comparisons to Game of Thrones and The Witcher. And while we're ultimately aiming for something that we can hope can stand alone on its own merits, yeah, that's the way you should make a game, not create it so it just becomes a representation of something else. There are lots of fans, so you'll find some instances. For the most part, however, these similarities usually don't extend much beyond a few outward features, but their concerning appearance of characterization. And that isn't limited to Game of Thrones. Look hard enough, you may find it is simply more better to say that, like, I want to see it, and they want to, and they're working from there to give it life. It's a big same for characters. Broad so that Indiana Jones, but it looks of Vigo from Ghostbusters 2. Okay, help get everyone. Also, the music has stuff. I just realised we haven't got any music playing right now. Let's get some music. Oh, Brainwave is currently playing Final Fantasy 14 music. You guys can see that, can't you? There we go. Look hard enough for you to find. So, once you do leave, but you'll find it there in the hairline. House of Fortune, Intrigue and One Triads. Well, One Kingdom, well, it's hard to save the world when the world doesn't need saving. Love, good stories of roots and conflict, they gave purpose to others. That said, I wouldn't say that. So, but it is about Clive. They definitely emphasise the fact that the story is about Clive. It's about Clive, and while part of it plays a part. Yeah, I appreciate that, because it's also one of the things like about The Witcher. Despite the fact that it is set in a politics-heavy world, it doesn't focus on the politics, it focuses on the character of The Witcher, and so it can kind of take a dive into everything that is in the world. Like, Clive is going to go for all these things. He's going to see the politics, he's going to see all the different dominants. This is why we're focusing on him as a character, because he's going to see it all. So, it makes sense why they did this. Awesome music? I think the music might be having problems, to be honest. It might be worth us having it off for this. The trailer introduces 2 new characters, Indiana Lizzo and Barnabas Farmer. Can you talk about the process of the Dragoon and Dark Knight classes? I haven't even looked at this yet, so I am curious to see what this trailer shows about them. Clive, the protagonist, is a character with a somewhat dark atmosphere, having sworn revenge. And so, yeah, so that's talking about his younger brother being killed, I assume. And so it's a character who is created as a reflection of kinds, made in the traditional image of a prince. He's an all-round Superman with an icon's power, good looks, and skilled in both the martial and intellectual arts. Having said that, not everything in his past and his upbringing is always as good as it seems, so he's quite a compelling character. On the other hand, Barnabas Farmer, I don't think it's Farmer, but let's just call it Farmer, was conceptualized in the image of a king cloaked entirely in mystery, looking at past insolvency, absolutely embodied the Dragoon and Dragon, and I think that's talking about the Bahamut dominant, maybe? Which makes sense, considering Bahamut is like Dark Dragon. It would make sense if they're going that route, but yeah, we got some pictures here. Oh god! The speed! Look, yeah! No, okay, we're not looking at pictures. I have this site open for a reason. Can you talk about what you consider to be the essence of Final Fantasy storytelling and how you're incorporating it into Final Fantasy 16? What's your personal favourite Final Fantasy story to date? Ooh, okay. It's a little hard to say, as each is independent of the others, so there's little tie into any of them outside of the handful shared monsters, magic, and music. I think the only real similarity is they all revolve around a band of unlikely heroes setting off to save the world. Oh, and crystals. A lot of crystals. And that won't change in Final Fantasy 16, yeah. We look at Beyond the Surface, do an excellent job of getting the audience to care about the characters, and we celebrate their victories and lament their tragedies as they are our own, and that's why it's lasting. From the pure / lore perspective, Final Fantasy 12 is one of my favourites, but when I think back on every Final Fantasy moment stayed me, it'll always be, whoa! Spoilers! I haven't played 12 yet, but that is the lore one, so yeah, I will avoid that. It's like, oh, we're gonna put it is a 20-year-old game, to be fair. I didn't even get a chance to put a spoiler warning on. There we go. In regards to, okay, so here's the question. Here's the question that evoked a lot of controversy. Oh, controversy. And I will just say it now, in terms of trying to understand the way Yoshi P answered it is, I think he answered it too much, which is a weird way of saying it, but I think with questions like this, he should have just said, we didn't really think about that, we should have gone about that another route, or we didn't have time to think about this stuff. I don't know how he should have answered it, but I'm just gonna gloss it over. A lot of people have talked about it at this point, but that is certainly a thing. And it kind of goes into a little bit of the setting outside of the question, talks about how they're kind of going for that, kind of taking a deep dive into like a monoculture, an isolated island. And I talked about this with Nom before, about how this can work, but that isn't an answer to the diversity question, because fucking medieval Europe was one of the most diverse nations. It just wasn't shown in history, because history is only written by mostly white people, unfortunately. So it was a question of, I don't think that was a good answer, Josh. I think you shouldn't have answered it. You should just strayed away from that. But it does go into a little bit about Final Fantasy as a series and what the setting is going to be for this game. Can we expect to see a female character on par with Celis, Aerith, or General Beatrix? All games I have played outside of Final Fantasy 7. Does a feature prominent? I would hazard. Yeah. So this is what he said before about this, about the characters. Wow. These companions are not simply static. Yeah. Here we go. These companions, however, are not simply static one-dimensional plot devices there to pop up Clive. They have their own paths, their own motivations, and these were explored in depth as the player progresses across the story. One such character does end up being featured more prominently, strong yet flawed, brave yet full of doubt. Her relationship with Clive affects him. I don't think this is talking about the Shiva character. I think this is talking about the other one. I keep forgetting her name. It's a really cool name, though. Let me see if I can find it. Give me a sec. It had a really good name. It's the Garuda dominant that I'm thinking of, because they have said in interviews that she is the first companion who Clive had, which I found was interesting, considering she is painted in the trailers as an antagonist. So I am curious to see how that gets either resolved, or we find out more about that. Maybe they're just together because, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, or whatever. What is her name? Garuda dominant. Yeah, Benedicta Harmon. That is her name. Yeah, I think she's who they're talking about, not Shiva. Maybe it will be, but I just don't know. Will Final Fantasy icons through history appear in? Okay, here we go. Here's the important question. Chocobos and Moogles will appear in Final Fantasy 16. They each have their own role. Responsible. See, 15. You don't need to be an adult game you can have Moogles in an adult game. you don't need to take them out like this. If this game can do it, which is probably going to be the most like dark and realistic version of Final Fantasy, then you can have it. A lot of other common elements as well, including monsters like bombs and marbles and some technology. Having said that, the world is quite serious in terms. We're not going to go out of the way to include anything overly comical or things that don't fit clearly into the ecosystem. Yeah, that makes sense. This is related to the gameplay experience, but we've also included a fair number of homages to past Square games and name, etc. These are just like Easter eggs. If you know, it'll make you smile. If you're the kind of player who likes finding these things, I hope you try and discover the various little nods. Oh, okay, that'll be cool. I'm interested to see how they go about the little Easter eggs in this game. How linear is the story? How expansive are the individual areas? How much exploration is available? Will there be optional side quests that expand significantly on the lore? So this is important because we could either have a Final Fantasy 15 situation where it's entirely open world and there's too many side quests, or we could have a Final Fantasy 13 situation where the game is too linear and there isn't that much breadth for the player to go and explore stuff. In fact, I would say 15 has both of those issues because the entire second half of that game is entirely linear. So, yeah, fingers crossed it isn't. There are lots of side quests interspersed throughout the main story. These side quests give a lot of insight into the lore and show different sides of the characters. Is what a side quest should have in it. The areas themselves are varying size, some smaller and some larger, but there are multiple so-called field areas of around 2 square kilometers. Now, that is massive. It reminds me a little bit of how Xenoblade does it. Like, Xenoblade has massive field areas, but it also has smaller scale cities. I think they're going down a very similar route. In fact, the character layout also sounds very similar. So I guess they're kind of taking inspiration from that a little bit. As you progress through the story, you will also encounter quite a number of areas called stages, where you walk around, feel around. Not that you need to really pour your energy into exploration to avoid the game be difficult. Yeah, here we go. In each area, we'll discover search for something that is called elite marks. Oh no, what? We're taking the thing from 15? Oh, we're taking elite marks from 15. Okay, I'm fine with that. I didn't like that situation because it meant you have. Well, I might like it more in 16 and be more inclined to do it because this game is actually going to be good. So that Clive will need to overcome while his powers he obtained from the icons are restricted. And situations that will need to overcome whilst the powers he's obtained from the icons are restricted? What does that mean? Powers. So what? He's gonna have powers, but he's gonna gain more, maybe, from doing side quests potentially. So the game you can finish in its entirety by only following the main story. So you need to actually do side quests in this. That is interesting. Okay, so it has the main story, but there are elements in this where you need to go off and go and upgrade Clive as a character. Okay, I'm fine with that. What are the story elements that have been refined and updated and both over this development? The concept of where the story and script are now. Can you give an example of this as well in relation? Which characters have evolved the most throughout the voice acting, writing, and visual design process? What characters do you find most intriguing? Oh, I'm curious if they can even answer this. In actual fact, there hasn't been many major changes from the very first draft of the story that I showed the producer and director. Spent an immense amount of time on the story in the early stages. I didn't think of it just a story, but a story prepared specifically for people to play in the game Final Fantasy 16. This meant that there weren't any significant updates from the point onwards, the same is true of the characters. However, as I worked on the script, the character of Clive, the protagonist, became much clearer and better defined. Each time this happened, I went back and rewrote dialogue time and time again. This is one of the reasons why I do think Clive is the most impactful character in the game. However, saying that, there are lots of memorable characters in the game, and I hope players will find their personal favourite from among the extensive class. So that's it. Okay. I will say that interview definitely makes me more intrigued. I don't think it actually said anything we don't know at this point, because we already knew Clive was the main character. We already knew kind of the general vibe they were going for with this, it being more kind of Xenoblade-y. Not Xenoblade-y, that's not a good way of describing this. It being more focused around Clive as a character. It being his story. I am curious how they go about that, and obviously I haven't played the other Final Fantasies, so I wouldn't know if this is a new concept for Final Fantasy, but so far, at least, from the ones I played, they're definitely going in a different direction with the series. So yeah, I'm interested in this. So that's the interview. That's what I kind of wanted to talk about with 16. There was something else I wanted to say, and that is this cover art we received ages ago for 16. I want this here. I want this to be the cover art for this game. I don't care if we get something else. This is awesome. With like the phoenix and the Ifrit in the background with the really awesome like castle, the crystal in the back. I love it. I want this. Okay, Square, give me this game. I will pay for it. I am already going to pay for it when it goes on pre-order. So do that, please. Give me this game right now, Yoshi P. Or I guess I could play Final Fantasy 14 because that is the next section in this, and I have got actual music for that. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Yes, I do. Okay. Let's get this one on first. So, oh, was that actually muted for you guys? Yeah, it is. Okay, hold on. I don't think you guys can hear it anyway because I turned BSP off. Yeah, so I'm now going to be going into a little bit of Final Fantasy 14 news. And I guess if you're worried about spoilers for this game, this will probably be the point where you sign off because this whole section is going to be jumping into spoilers for this game. I don't know if I can lay this out so that it doesn't have spoilers in it. So we're going to be focusing on kind of the bread and butter of what's happening in this. So yeah. I actually don't know where to get this information from because usually I get it from the Discord, but I don't know if they put the full translation on there yet. So let's get this up. So yeah, in terms of the Discord, it exists. I will have a look if they've added it to the Discord. I don't think they have. Lodestone news, translation and live letters. Okay, I think they have actually added to Discord. I can eat my words. Okay, right, give me a sec. I will get this up. If I'm assuming I'll be allowed to show this on Discord. I think so. Obviously I want you guys to be able to see as well, so I want to get this up. YouTube border. Well, it's not actually YouTube, is it? It's Discord. I mean, that's just about it, isn't it? There we go. Move this over. So it's inside the box still. There we go. Right, so we've got a fair bit of news about Final Fantasy 16. I'm gonna move up to the top, and we'll move from there and go all the way to the bottom. Yeah, so here we go. Live meta starting. Tired. Okay, there's no way. This is an interesting way of doing this, but let's get to the news, shall we? Do something. Don't worry, end stream test. So, letter from part LXXIV. I don't know what L is. Fuck. I think that's 50, isn't it? So it's 50, 70, 74. Part 74. Jesus. Even some of my playthroughs haven't gone that long. Okay, so in terms of reading this, let's go through this. So, okay, we've got the actual. So, okay, People wondering why it's 10th anniversary next year. We took a bit to decide. No reason that hasn't changed since it's just doing live streams. Part 1 of 6.3 today. Screenshots, but no in-game footage since we have a lot of new players. That is, we usually have 2 PLs, Part 1 and Part 2. And Part 1 we may discuss the new features about showing in-game footage. Yeah, so didn't know how it worked. Part 1 shows the in-game, shows some early stuff. Part 2 is where the trailer usually drops, which will be in December probably. So we've got the actual title here. Gods revel, lands tremble. See, revel suggests to me that that's talking about Susano, which might mean that might be what our new... Well, no, that would make sense, because technically if they're going for the Unreal, Susano would be one of the new ones, so maybe they're finally revealing what the next Ultimate is going to be. Yeah, so this is going to be released early January, which I was like, but that's so late! We're not going to get into January? Well, I guess we have FF11 to carry us over, don't we? So new main scenario quests, yeah, new, well, we kind of gathered that from 16, right? From 16 from 6.3. New MSQ, new side quests as usual. Yeah, and interesting enough, they show Alphino and Alice, which means they are coming back in the story, as a lot of us predicted. It's interesting that she's here, and we're not back in the void. That does suggest to me that 6.3 is going to be a transitionary patch. We're going to have, obviously, the return of some favourite characters like Alphino and Alice, but we're also going to have probably not a lot of stuff to do with Golbez in this. Maybe it's more going to be focused on the misadventures of Zero in our world, so we can care about her more before 6.3 like kills us and makes us realise Zero is actually the bad guy because she's Zeromus. So yeah, new Tataru's Grand Endeavours continue. Nice. What is that going to be on though? Oh, okay, we're going to Stormblood. So if the last one was Heavensward, this one I guess is Stormblood. Welcome in, Rob. I will say we're doing spoilers, but I don't think you care about 14. Hope you're doing good today. Welcome to Buddin Some Boopin. Hope you're doing good. I know you're streaming soon. I do plan on raiding you if you are doing that, so we will do it. Okay, so Tales of Newfound Adventures continue. So this is, I guess, yeah, the slimes, which suggests to me that we're gonna get more lore on the fiends, the 2 ones we are going to kill probably in this patch. Even more Hildebrand at 6.35. Nice. I mean, we always get a little bit of Hildebrand, so that's fun. More Mandeville weapons. Yes, we're going to get our next relic as well. That'll be good. What is even happening? Another line of tribal quests. Oh. So, yeah, here we go. They have acknowledged it. No pressure. I just got back to my PC and I thought I would say hi. Hello. Yeah, so they have confirmed the Lockwits are the new crafting quests. Who would have funked it? Who would have realised? I think we all knew, didn't we? We all knew who it was going to be. Let's change song, shall we? Because I do actually have 2 songs from this, and I like the other song I have. This is Zero's theme from 14. There we go. New dungeon. Oh shit. Lapis Malalis. Okay. So the dungeon's called Lapis Malalis. The name includes Snow Mountain. Where could that be? Yeah, where could that be? What the fuck? I mean, okay, so we know that the next Archfiends are water and fire themed. This is not what I was expecting. I was expecting, like, another Void dungeon. This is in the Arctic. What the fuck? Okay. Yeah, that was definitely something I wasn't expecting us to go into there. I want to slide if I see this. Such good weather. Ooh, so we're gonna get like another dusk vigil or snow cloak. Okay, and I will say already, this looks better than snow cloak and dusk vigil combined. Like they've improved the graphical fidelity of this game so much. They found every little trick with it. Whereas I think we're seeing a little boss arena there, maybe. I don't know though. Of course we will be another trial, the boss will be secret. Yeah, we know who the fucking is. We know it's the Archfiends. At least it has to be, right? Because that isn't a void dungeon. Unless their domain is like a snow-themed one. I don't really know. And what does Lapis Malalis actually mean? Well, I think actually, doesn't it just mean snow mountain? Lapis Malalis. I think it's Latin, isn't it? So let's try and find out. Lapis Malalis? I've already forgotten how I said it. Okay, it isn't Sabanaru because Google translated Lapis Malalis means pencil eraser. What the fuck? I don't think that's what it means. Yeah, abandon? Okay, I think I got the dungeon wrong. What is the dungeon called? Oh, it is Manalis. Is it? Does that actually mean I'm calling it fucking? I'm calling the dungeon pencil eraser because that it actually translated to that. Chat, I'm not joking. New Unreal. Sophia will be the new Unreal. Yeah, we knew that. So much brain training in this fight. Oh, okay, this is where it's at, guys, because this dungeon was so good. Myths of the Realm. The first Alliance raid in Endwalker was probably my favorite Alliance raid I've ever done. So the first Alliance raid is a lot more popular than we had anticipated. Yeah, because it was fucking awesome. Just growl like a backpack? What is this? But what is this? Wait, this is Main Breeder's parent, isn't it, too? What the fuck? Wait, no, it's not, is it? I forgot who this character was. It's not. Forget about me. I got a Vogadon wrong, I'm sorry. He's got a slot machine. Yeah, he does have a fucking slot machine on his back. Oh, okay, so we're gonna do Xenoblade Chronicles 2 then. It's kind of like the Life Tree a little bit. Windows XP background vibes. The 5th Ultimate. Shit, okay, here we go. Music is gonna go off of this. What is this going to be? Whoa! Wait, it's all of them? What the fuck? Ultimate Duty 5. Are we combining all 3 of them together? We're not doing Stormblood? I mean, I like that, but... What? Oh my god. Okay, West Wind Ultimate. Tatari Ultimate. How many clones would she have to make? Oh, another deep dungeon? Whoa, it's the next deep dungeon! Okay, what is this? Took a break from the deep and the shadow bangers, but we're gonna do another one in 6.35. Oh shit! Eureka Orphus. Oh, wait, this doesn't require Eureka to do, does it? How do you do Eureka Orphus? Okay, no, I generally had a heart attack there because I thought it required you to do Eureka. I don't want to do Eureka. Eureka Officer, does that mean it's tied to Eureka in any way? I don't know. Okay, that's interesting. Again, 6.35, so it won't come out straight away. What is a deep dungeon? Yeah, so this is it's like it's basically a dungeon roguelike if you want to know that general gist of it. And yeah, you can reach the point where you can do it on solo runs. Huge support for Heavensward. Oh shit, we are getting close now that I'm finishing that. Great Google, Etherical, Antichamber, Sorkai, Zephyr and Baelsar's Wall. Of course, they won't be doing the optional dungeons, but maybe they will eventually, I don't know. Okay, here we go. Oh, they're changing Paladin. I don't know if people are going to be happy about that, but we'll see. Adjustments to PvP actions. PvP Series 3 begins. Season 5 of Crystalline Conflict. New arena of Crystalline Conflict. Whoa! Like Kagane? That's really cool. I like that. That's great. Do you remember this guy? Oh, the fucking guy from the dungeon. Yeah, I remember him. It was great. Right, first half of the PLL is done. What is this? They showed the people for the album they started streaming today and a video. What is this? How do I buy this? How do I buy this track now? I need Painted Foothills. That's one of my favorite songs in the whole game. Yeah, I would like that. Give me that game, please. I have realised we have gone a little bit over time, but there isn't that much more of this, I don't think. Yeah, we're getting close to the end. Night in the Room as well. Well, they really are getting the best songs, aren't they? Sanctuary's Heart. Okay, how do I buy this? They got Oblivion in it too. Now I need to relax a bit. Oh, that's really cool. The hoodie's gone. Wow, I like that. He just got Heinlein just dunking Zodiac into nothing. It's good. Sorry, because that's globally self-affecting only I can wear. Casting and gathering updates. Tool enhancement quests. What? Well, like relics for tools? Okay, and custom deliveries. Okay, so Amelians will be back then, I guess. What? This? Little shrubbery guy? Okay, sure. That could be the new custom deliveries, man. Why not? The whole aha situation was the pronunciation. Rala. So common and basically it's for spearfishing in a Ramaborn area. Okay, this stuff I'm less interested in, but that's cool that they are changing stuff and adding a new spearfishing location in Ramaborn. That's cool. Oh, wait, what? What? That's amazing. You can dive in here now? Does that mean you can swim in it too? Oh my god. Well, that's a wonderful upgrade. What the fuck? Oh. Island Sanctuary, new Sanctuary ranks and visions. They are improving on Island Sanctuary, like we all thought they would. I need to actually finish that at some point. I need it. I need it in my life. Are they adding a roller coaster? What is this? No, it's not a roller coaster. What is this? Like an outpost? Okay. It's like a flower outpost. I dig it. Improve workbench and more yields. Nice. New treasure dungeon. Only maps and elbows have a chance of opening a portal to this one. Oh, the shifting gymnasium agonome. Interesting. Okay. I dig it. That's cool. New jumping puzzle and gold saucer. That's cool. For people who like gold saucer, I guess. UI improvements. Okay, here we go. This is something I was interested in. Icons for damage type will now display in the battle log and flying text. Physical, magic, and unique. Oh, so like if you take a certain damage, it'll appear in that with that symbol, maybe. Ability to display remaining buffs in the party list. Okay, that is wonderful. That is a fantastic change. Because like before, you just had it next to you, but you didn't know when it was going to go out. But now that that's there, you can actually gauge how long regen's going to last for. Oh my god. No, that is actually a fantastic change. I like that. Finally, my regen will be useful. Will appear. I don't want to be told we're using phones because the feature is not in the game, so here you go. Portraits will now show in different content. Oh, so like when you begin a dungeon, it will show everyone's portraits. That's cool. So, would this happen in pre-mades too? Because I don't want to be doing dungeons with our people on our Discord and seeing this every single time we go in, just seeing everyone's portraits. I don't know. Maybe okay. It's also there for raids as well. Well, not raids, trials. We should explain why. UI theme miscellaneous changes. Miscellaneous expansion available actions. So these fashion accessories. That is actually a wonderful change that they've done there. I like that. What was this? Tactics Ogre Reborn screenshot suites. It's Reborn. It's about we're holding a screenshot Swiss takes. Oh, that's cool. They're doing a little set festival with Tactics Ogre apparently. I like that. Good for them. Okay, I need Sanctuary's Heart because I need to hear footfalls. Okay, I'm gonna be buying this after the stream. Because this is awesome. Then what's this? Oh my god! Look at that! Oh no, they know! They know Xenos, they do! Also spoilers, I guess, for the stickers, but you know, it's kind of unavoidable at this point. And I think that's it. Domestic Sliver housing. Oh yeah, here we go. Housing update. Good for them. They're getting another division and stuff. Nice. Well, that was the Final Fantasy Live layer. A lot of cool stuff. Like the new dungeon not being in the void is interesting. The new ultimate potentially being all the ultimates put together. It's going to be weird, but I like the UI changes and I'm curious to see how the new deep dungeon goes. So yeah, there you go. That is the new live letter. We shall see more about that. Probably part 2 very soon in December. But yeah, let's go into this. And we're going to go over to the raid with my outro music, which is the same currently as my drawing music. Let me get it out. Where is this? Right, I hope you enjoyed. That was the first new part of Buddin Some Boopin. I do plan on doing more of these in the future. In fact, I will be doing another one probably next week because I need to do Final Fantasy 15 analysis, so that will happen next week. It won't be long. I don't have a lot to say about it, but I do have something I want to say now. I'm going to go raid someone I haven't done in years. Or not years, but I haven't done in a while. We're going to go raid Island of Rob, who is currently playing A Plague Tale Innocence. Let's go see how that's going, shall we? But yeah, next week, Monday, it'll probably be, I'll be talking about, I haven't actually decided what I'll be talking about yet, but I will probably put out something like that either today or tomorrow. You'll find out across the weekend. But it was fun. It was a fun little stream we did today. And we're going to go and raid, because why not? Oh, I got an ad. Very good. Right, ad needs to end. We can't wait for the ad to end before we raid. But yeah, in terms of live layer, I am curious. And it was fun to go for the interview for 16. I definitely know more about the game than I did before. And, you know, we shall find out more as we go along. This ended up being a 2-hour stream, but you know what? It was fun to do. So we shall potentially do a new one in the future. I would like you to load, please. Because I also want to eat some food now. So, come on, Twitch. Right, we're going to go raid Island of Rob. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next part of this, hopefully. Fingers crossed. I have just realised I'm going to make a noise when I join this channel, but he is doing a horror stream at the moment. Hopefully he doesn't mind, but Yeah, goodbye. That was the new part of Buddin Some Boopin, part 4, and I'll be back next time. Goodbye.